He didn't love her. He didn't even know her. But he said yes. Because he was hungry. Hungry for food. For time. For a chance. Lucas was the kind of student statistics forget. 23 years old. Scholarship cut. College suspended. 3 eviction notices. No family. No name that mattered. And on that rainy night, washing glasses at a millionaire's wedding in uptown Seoul, all he had in his pockets was the same coin as always, nothing. That's when she showed up. Helena. Petrol blue dress, pearl necklace, hair tied back like the actresses in movies he never had time to watch. 71 years old. A weathered face, but eyes, alive. A kind of sadness that observes, that calculates. That has hurt and now only weighs. She didn't say much. Neither did he. But their gaze went far. On the third glass he washed, she appeared at the counter with 2 words. Do you study? I used to. And the next day, he received a call from the number she had written on a napkin. I have a proposal. Strange, perhaps. But fair. It was simple. 7 days. She wanted to get married. Officially. Nothing sexual, nothing romantic. Just companionship. Silent dinners. Long walks. Someone to talk to who wasn't a lawyer, doctor, or caregiver. In exchange, money. It would help pay off debts, restart college, maybe even live. Lucas laughed. Then he hesitated. Then he accepted. Because when you're drowning, you don't argue about the type of ladder. The wedding was discreet. An empty registry office, 2 strangers signing papers that seemed like a joke. But it wasn't. At her house, there were rules. No questions about the past. Don't open the last door in the hallway. And every night, dinner at 7 p.m. sharp. She liked routine. So did he. For the first time in a long time, Lucas slept in a clean bed. In the early days, everything seemed normal. Helena was polite, quiet, sometimes even funny. She showed him old paintings around the house, paintings she had done herself, full of shadows and faded faces. She talked about literature, classical music, how the world seemed to have sped up too much. And little by little, something inside Lucas began to break. That woman, rich and old, wasn't just an eccentric millionaire. She was human. And when she smiled, for a few seconds, he felt like someone was really looking at him. But on the 6th night, she didn't smile. She was quiet during dinner. Her eyes were downcast. Her cutlery was almost falling from her hands. And at the end, before going up to her room, she just said, "If I don't come down tomorrow, don't be sad. But don't go into the room at the end of the corridor. Ever." He didn't answer. He just nodded. But what he would see on the 7th night was not part of the agreement. The morning of the 7th night dawned heavy. The kind of silence that weighs on the air, even when there is no sound. Lucas woke up alone, her side of the table still untouched at breakfast. The tea was slowly cooling, as if waiting for someone who would never come. He wanted to respect that. He really did. But his head was spinning. Helena's last sentence was an enigma scratching his brain. "If I don't come down tomorrow, don't be sad. But don't go into the room at the end of the hall. Ever." And that's what made the sentence hurt the most. She didn't forbid it with anger. She forbade it with affection. Like someone who knows that protecting someone sometimes means hiding them. But Lucas was young. And youth doesn't respect mystery. It breaks it. He waited until 3 p.m. Then until 6 p.m. Nothing. He went upstairs. The hallway seemed longer. As if time had stretched out. Closed doors. Old pictures. The afternoon light coming through the cracks, golden and sad. At the end, the door. Older than the rest. More worn. And ajar. Just enough to invite him in. He entered. The room was cold. Not because of the weather, but because of what it held. It was different from the rest of the house. Nothing modern. Everything frozen in time. Walls covered with pictures, but not paintings. Portraits. All of the same girl. Same expression. Same face. Age? No more than 12. Each picture, a season. A birthday. A Christmas. A hospital. And then, in the center of the main wall, a new picture. Half finished. But recognizable. It was him. Lucas. The same curve of the jaw. The same tired look. The paint still wet. Next to it, a dresser. With an open letter. Handwritten. And a small velvet box. He picked up the letter. "If you're reading this, then you already know. You're not my daughter. But you made me feel like she came back, even if only for a week. I didn't want to deceive you. I just wanted to smile one more time without pain. Thank you for giving me back the chance to love. Lucas didn't blink. The words hit him like soft punches in the stomach. In the box, a necklace. Pearls. The same one she wore the day they met. And inside, a key. Small, rusty, with a tag. Studio. The doorbell rang. He ran down the stairs. The door. No sign of Helena. But on the doormat, an envelope. Inside, documents. Her will. She had transferred everything to him. The house. The construction work. Her bank account. 7 days. 7 conversations. 7 dinners. And now, he had everything. Except her. Lucas didn't sleep that night. The letter still weighed heavily on his lap. The pearl necklace rested on the dining table, the same one where they had eaten 7 times in silence and connection. He felt angry. At himself, at Helena, at the world. But more than anything, he felt lost. 7 days. And a void the size of the universe. The key between his fingers begged for one last answer. The studio. There was a door next to the library that he had never tried to open. It looked more like a pantry than anything else. But the lock, it fit. He turned it. The smell came first. Old paint. Dry varnish. Time standing still. Light streamed through the window covered with a white sheet. And revealed Helena's sanctuary. Unfinished paintings on the walls. Easels covered with cloths. Stacked notebooks. And in the corner, a diary. With a red ribbon marked on page 28. Lucas sat down and began to read. Today she would have been 23. I don't remember the sound of her voice anymore, only the echo of the accident. The psychologist said I needed to accept it. But how? She still comes into my dreams every week. One day, maybe someone will come along with the same eyes. Just to remind me that to love is not to forget. It is to relearn. Page after page, Helena left pieces of her soul between crooked words and ink scribbles. She was dying. Alone. The marriage was never a plan. It was impulse. Desperation. Maybe hope. If I leave before I finish the portrait, let him know. He didn't replace him. He revived him. And that was more than any fortune I inherited. Lucas closed the diary with a trembling hand. Suddenly, everything made sense. The attention at dinner. The meaningless questions. The paintings frozen in time. And why she cried the day he smiled for the first time. She wasn't buying company. She was trying to come back. For a moment. To paint his daughter with the colors of someone new. The next day, Lucas didn't go to the bank. Not even to register anything. Not even to check if it was all real. He went to the square where he saw Helena's first painting on display, many years ago, when she was still a living legend. He sat on the bench. He stayed there. Thinking about how much 7 days can change a life. Not because of the money. Or the mansion. But because, for 7 nights, he wasn't invisible. He was the center of a story. And even if it was brief, it was real. 2 months later. The house was quiet, but it wasn't the same as before. It was a different kind of quiet. A quiet that was inhabited. Filled. Lucas still lived there. Not out of luxury. But by choice. He didn't touch almost anything. The unfinished painting was still on the wall. Her portrait. The paint still slightly wet, as if she had given it the last brushstroke, with her soul. He didn't sell the paintings. He didn't auction off the relics. He turned the house into a living gallery. He put a small sign outside, written by hand. Helena lived here. She painted pain like no one else. And she taught us that love doesn't have to last to be real. Little by little, people began to visit. Old acquaintances, her former students, art students, even curious onlookers. But no one saw what he saw. No one knew how she ate in silence. Or how she closed her eyes when she touched an old picture frame. Or how she smiled guiltily. Like someone who had had one last dream too late. But he knew. Lucas started writing. He told the story of the most unlikely marriage of the year. But not as gossip. As a confession. As a tribute. His article went viral. 7 days with Helena. People from all over sent messages. People who had lost someone. Who felt invisible. Who thought it was impossible to find love after 70. The house became an emotional pilgrimage site. A home for those who needed to remember that connection exists, even if brief. That sometimes, someone shows up just to restore your faith in humanity. One morning, he received an envelope. No return address. Inside, an old photo. Helena, young, holding a girl with curly hair, the smile identical to his. On the back, a phrase written in faded blue pen. She would have thought you were funny. He cried. Not out of pain. Out of gratitude. For the woman who pulled him out of the mud with an absurd proposal. For the artist who used the last colors of her life to paint a memory. And for himself. For saying yes. Today, Lucas teaches. Not painting. History. And every year, in the last week of class, he tells his students about the most unlikely week of his life. Many laugh. Some are moved. Some cry. But everyone learns. That not all love looks like love. That sometimes it comes wrapped in sadness. And ends before the embrace lasts. And when they ask him if he loved her, he smiles. And replies. She taught me what it means to be loved. And that is enough to love her back. If you like this story, please subscribe to the channel to follow the next pages of this never-ending chapter. Leave your link and comment on what you thought.